We got 4 weeks yet to go before we reopen for the season on March 10th. So we have a lot of work here to get done in the next 4 weeks. Mike's been doing a lot of, all the vacuuming. And he's come around to one corner. So right now he's working there where the big passenger station is. Right behind the mill and the Boy Scouts. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you underneath the layout here a little bit. What we do is take a lot of the panels off. And to get underneath the layout, we have certain places that have a creeper, just like you get underneath the car with. And I'm going to kind of show you here, and then we'll get underneath the layout. I'll give you a little bit of a tour, show you a couple of the animations. I have extension cord. This is my neck saver. If I'm going to be underneath there for a long time, I got to use that. So away we go, and I lay on my back, and I just scoot around. Okay, here we are under the layout. Over here to my left is where the circus end is. Right over top of me is the Memorial Day Parade. It's run by a big motor and with chain guide. If you notice, there's a lot of places that these little terminal strips hang down with wires already hooked up to them. I did that back in November. I had to wire everything for the Christmas layout, and that stuff's all hanging. It's ready for next year, and I've wired up every house in case I decided to do something in the future. While I was wiring one, I might as well do them all. Over on that side is actually where the one set of fish are with the big aquarium. Dutch Wonderland's over here to my right. The fire scene is actually down this way, and you can see there's a big silvery thing hanging down from the layout. That is actually the ladder and the guy that goes up the ladder. That's the unit. When we get down there closer, we'll get a little bit better video of that. But I want to head over to where the Amish barn raising is to show you how that all works. We're underneath the Amish barn raising scene right here, and the Amish barn raising gets a lot of questions as to how we make those guys actually hammer. And there's actually 7 separate motors for the guys hammering. Each one hammering has its own motor, so if one of the motors goes bad or a linkage breaks, it doesn't take out the whole effect. Over on this side, there's the guys that are sawing are here, and there's another guy hammering here. I'll show you with my extension cord exactly how it works. Each one of the motors has a plug, and it gets hooked up to a plug strip that we have. So I'll pull that plug out and plug in the one animation. It's going to be this one here, if you can get there, if you can see that. It's a simple matter of a cam moving an arm, okay? Moving that little rod. The rod goes up and down, and once the rod goes up and down, it's hooked to the Amishman's arm, and that makes him hammer. I've often had a lot of comments made regarding the wiring that's underneath here. Well, all the wiring that you see all throughout this layout, that you can actually see little pieces of wire here and there, is all low voltage wire. Stuff like this with a cord is 110 volt. That goes all over to a receptacle at some place, and then that's all in trough, all in pipe, and all up to code. The low voltage is all going to be under 24 volts. Actually, it's mostly all 12 volts and under, because most all the trains run under 12 volts. And then all my signaling, all the lighting is 12 volts and under. So, there's no worry with that. This is going to give you an idea of what's underneath here, and this is how I work on this. I mean, this is how everything has to be done under the layout. Sometimes it's not so fun to get under here, especially if I'm dressed real nice, because this all gets dirty. But this is how it's all done, and it's it's just the way it is. I got lighting, I got car lights all over the place. And I've been doing a lot of relighting of cars, so you're going to see a lot of new car lights. That's what this is actually a train light here. This mask down in through here is a lot of car lights. So I got to make sure they're all going to work. And that's it. Pretty no nonsense. You just got to know where to go and where everything is. Okay, I'm underneath the fire scene right here, and the fire scene is really filled with a lot of intricate little mechanisms to make everything work. This thing that hangs down right here is actually the unit that I built to make the ladder go up, then the man go up, and then the man actually chops. And it uses 3 different motors. It uses a lot of little limit switches, like here. Here's a motor. There's a motor here on the other side. And then there's a motor down here at the very bottom. And this little bottom motor is the one that runs the guy that's actually chopping, his arm. And it just uses a series, like I said, of limit switches. That once the piece gets to a certain spot, it stops, and then it reverses after a time. This unit up in here is actually the part that brings the man up out of a hole, and makes him literally drag the hose back along to where the water's going to squirt in. And again, it uses 2 motors, one to bring him up out of the hole, and then the other drives this chain to pull him and the hose back across the yard. This part of the animation for the chopper, the guy going up the ladder, the part over here, and this wooden piece was added a couple of years after all this was put in here back in 2000. And the reason is because there's a very small limit switch right down here in the very bottom, and it was out in the open. And get a little light on it. And every time, it just seemed like every time I came underneath the layout, I always had to be careful that I wasn't going to run into that little limit switch. And unfortunately, I ran into that limit switch way too many times, broke it off. I'd have to then get all my tools, get them all underneath here, try and repair that little limit switch. So I finally got smart, and I built this with aluminum and piece of wood, nicely sanded off. The corners are nice and rounded. And all that does is it protects that motor, the bottom of the unit, and that limit switch, so that if I'm coming through here at 100 miles an hour on one of these creepers, I don't knock that limit switch off. So that has actually been a nice little lifesaver. But you don't think of those things as you're building, or you don't think of those things even for a while until after you're in the situation, and then it's too late. So that was an afterthought. So this piece up here is the reservoir into which, when the water shoots in, it actually collects into a funnel into here, and then runs down this tube back here to a 2-gallon bucket that has a submergible pump in it. The pump runs, and it actually brings the water up, and the water goes up into this tube and out through this piece here, and then shoots into the fire, or into the house. The chain over here on the side, back up in here, is the fire truck. There's a couple of gears, and you can see where I don't know if you can. Hopefully, you can see the sprockets that actually bring the fire truck off the road. And it makes it go off to the side of the road. Like I said, I wanted to add that because I thought that would make a neat little addition. So that's the fire scene. Well, that concludes our Under the Layout tour. If anybody has any specific questions or something they would really like to see, just drop us a note or put it onto our Facebook page, and we'll be more than happy to go underneath, and do some more filming. We'd love to show you what's going on here.